something I haven't had to do in a very long time. Hello there to people at home. It looks like we're gonna get started in just a couple minutes here. You all have already found your way to a seat. There's also blocks in the back room if you think you might want to block, and there's also these knee pads if you want any support for your knees or anything. They're just right back there in that closet. And if you're at home and you don't have a block or anything, you can try using a book. Depending on what kind of books you have around, might not be the best. You can also use the edge of chairs or things like that to add a little bit of height to your arms if you might need it. And to take the place of a knee pad, you can always use a blanket or a towel or anything that you can even roll up the edge of your mat if you'd like whenever we're doing any kind of kneeling poses. So we've got just a few minutes here. Go ahead and start to come into a seat that's comfortable for you. I can be sitting cross-legged. You can even put a block underneath your hips to add a little bit of height. Or you can, one of my favorite positions is kneeling. It's a nice little like thigh stretch sometimes, but it can cause some flexion in the knees if that's a thing for you. I'll be moving back and forth from the mat to the computer for the first couple minutes just to let people into the waiting room in Zoom. So we'll take this first few minutes to start to settle in. Start to sound like a little diamond or something on the floor. It's not a real diamond. Some of this costume jewelry one is distracting my eyes. So go ahead and start to bring your focus into the breath. Let the eyes soften or gaze down at the mat or floor, or just let them grow a little unfocused. With each inhale, notice if there's any particular color or tone to the breath. With each exhale, let yourself sink a little bit more into your seat. Let the shoulders relax away from the ears. Let the hips soften. As we start to transition into fall from summer, a lot of us can start to feel the impact of emotions that the sun has kind of helped alleviate for a while, especially with everything going on in the world and everything going on around us. And that's totally normal. But any time in practice you feel anything kind of starting to bubble up, just take some time to be curious about that. Lean into it a little bit. Use the breath as a guide or a focal point to navigate through some of those emotions or any potential turmoil, maybe stress or anxiety about what's to come later in the day or even later in the month. Could be some joy and some relief as well. If you're just joining us at home, find somewhere comfortable to have a seat. Start to bring the focus into the breath, into this place and into this space. Go ahead and take 3 rounds of breath together. Breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Breathe in through the lips like sipping in through a straw. And out through the nose. And then seal the lips and breathe in through the nose. And out through the nose. Let yourself come back to the normal breath. And if at any point throughout practice you'd like to go back to a previous pose that we've done, come into child's pose, do a dance, do something completely different, please do so. Take some time and a little bit of thought to make this practice your own and to lean into whatever your body might be asking of from you. Everything I say is just a suggestion, and you're free to take it or to leave it as it feels right for you. Take one more round of breath here. On your next inhale, start to bring the arms out and lift them up. Bring the gaze up between the hands. The hands can stay shoulder width apart or bring the palms together to touch. Next, exhale, bring the hands back down to the mat. Press into the floor or mat with the palms or fingertips. Inhale, sweep the arms out. Lift the hands up, bring the gaze high. And exhale, arms back down, hands beside the hips. Press into the floor with the palms or fingers. Inhale, bring the arms up one more time. And exhale, let the hands come back down beside the hips. This time on your inhale, start to lift the chest, squeeze the shoulders together and back, tilt the head back slightly. Exhale, start to round forward, tuck the chin towards the chest, let the back of the neck lengthen, squeeze the stomach tight. Inhale, raise the chest. Squeeze the shoulders together and back, lift the chin up, and exhale, fold forward, pull the chin towards the chest, let the hands relax down towards the ground. Inhale to raise the chest and squeeze the shoulders back. One more time, lift the gaze up towards the sky. Exhale, fold forward, tuck the chin tight, let the head grow heavy. Inhale, come back to a neutral spine. Bring the arms out and up. And exhale, bring the left hand down to the mat. Reach overhead with the right. Inhale, lift the arms up. And exhale, bend over to the right. Reach overhead with the left. Inhale, sweep the arms towards the sky. And exhale, bend over to the left. Really reach through the right fingertips. Bend a little deeper into the left. Inhale, raise the hands high. And exhale, bend over to the right. Try to stretch through the left side of the torso. Inhale, one last round on either side. Raise the arms up. And exhale, bend over to the left. And inhale, up towards the sky. And exhale, right hand down, lean over with the left. Inhale, last time, raise the hands up. This time as you exhale, slowly bring the palms down to the mat in front of you. Shift forward onto the hands and knees. Bring the palms underneath the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips. If you've got any kind of support for underneath the knees, go ahead and place it there now. Take a moment here to find that place where it feels balanced between the front and back. Start to sway backwards and forth over the wrists and over the knees. Maybe hearing some creaks and cracks from the wrists. And eventually come to stillness where it almost feels like you're floating above the mat. Engage the core a little bit by pulling the stomach in slightly. Spread the fingertips open wide. Press both palms down firmly into the ground. Inhale, raise the right leg up and back behind you. Flex through the right toes. Point the toes down towards the mat. And exhale, slowly curl the right knee in towards the stomach, towards the nose. Inhale, lengthen the right leg back, flex through the right toes and the right foot. And exhale, curl the right knee in towards the nose. Inhale, extend the right leg back one more time. And exhale, curl in, round the spine, tuck the chin slightly. Inhale, bring the right knee back down to meet the left. And exhale, sink a little deeper into this tabletop. Press down firmly through the palms. Notice if there's anywhere where the weight feels a little bit heavier. Inhale, raise the left leg up and back. Flex the toes or point them down towards the mat. Exhale, curl the left knee in towards the nose. Inhale, extend the left leg back long, flex through the foot. And exhale, curl it in. Inhale, stretch the left leg out and back, flex through the toes last time. And exhale, curl the left knee in, round the spine, squeeze the core tight. Inhale, bring the left knee down to meet the right, back in tabletop. And exhale to stay. Notice if that weight between the left and right palms is a little bit different now, or if it stayed the same. On your next inhale, press down firmly into the left palm and sweep the right arm up towards the sky. Exhale, slide the right arm underneath the left, bring the right cheek down. Inhale, sweep the right arm up. And exhale, curl the right arm underneath the left, drop the right cheek low. Inhale to twist and rise, bring the gaze high. Exhale, slide the right arm underneath the left, drop the right cheek down. Inhale, last time, raise the right arm up. Exhale, right hand down to meet the left. Inhale, press down into the right palm, twist the left arm up. And exhale, scoop the left arm underneath the right, bring the left cheek down to the mat. Inhale, swing the left hand up. And exhale, sweep the left arm underneath the right, bring the cheek down low. Inhale, reach the left hand high. And exhale, last time, slide the left arm underneath the right, bring the left cheek down low. Inhale the left hand up. And exhale, left hand down to meet the right in tabletop. Take a moment here, start to sway the hips from left to right. Add a little bit of movement through the hips into the knees. Stay with this sway or start to circle the entire body, almost like you're stirring a really big pot of soup. We're getting into fall, which is my favorite season for cooking. All kinds of soups and stews on the horizon. Take one more round of breath, moving in whichever direction you started. And after that exhale, start to shift in the opposite direction. Rotate clockwise or counterclockwise. Notice if the hips feel a little bit different this way, if the palms or the wrists feel a little different. One more round of breath here, taking this time to engage with the body and be curious about any feelings, sensations, and then come back to stability and stillness in the center. Inhale, tuck the toes, and exhale, start to lift the knees. Keep the knees bent quite a lot. Start to push the hips up and back towards the wall and the ceiling behind you. Come into a kind of tightly crouched downward facing dog. And from here, start to really engage and firm through the thighs. Lift the hips up a little bit higher. Press firmly through the palms. And then maybe start to pedal out the feet. Introduce a little bit of movement and fluidity into the hamstrings. Come back to stillness and down dog. Press the hips up and back. Inhale, bend the knees, gaze towards the top of the mat. Then exhale, take about a dozen steps to slowly walk towards the front of the mat. Step carefully over any kind of knee support you might have had. Feel the ground and the mat underneath your toes and feet. Walk all the way towards the front between your hands at the top of the mat. Let the head and the torso and the hands and the arms hang heavy. Stay here or grab opposite elbows and start to sway from left to right. Feet can be together or hip width apart, whichever feels more comfortable. Knees can be bent or straight. One more round of breath, either in movement or in stillness. And then slowly inhale, heel toe the feet back together. Bring the palms to the front of the shins and slowly roll all the way up to stand. Keep the knees bent to help protect the lower back. Engage the core, push the hips forward slightly. Bring the palms past the thighs. Shrug the shoulders up towards the ears. Squeeze the shoulders down and back. Come to stand with the palms facing forward in mountain. Inhale, sweep the arms out, lift the hands up, bring the gaze high. And exhale, bend the elbows, lower the arms, and squeeze the shoulders together. Push the chest up and forward, little mini back bend cactus arms. Inhale, lift the arms up. And exhale, bend the elbows, squeeze the shoulders, lower the hands. Inhale to lift. And exhale one more time, bend the elbows and squeeze the shoulders together. Inhale, arms back up, hands reach towards the sky. This time as you exhale, bring the hands down to the hips, step the left foot back towards the back edge of the mat and turn to face the left side. Pivot the right foot so that it's parallel with the front edge of the mat. And inhale to lift through the spine. Reach both hands up and towards the corners of the room. Get as big as possible in star pose. Exhale, pivot the heels to bring them to face in towards the center of the mat. Start to bend the knees, bend the elbows, lower the hips down into a squat, down into goddess squat. Inhale to straighten the legs, lift the arms up and out. And exhale, bend the knees, lower the hips, bring the arms down. Inhale to straighten and lift. And exhale to bend and lower. This time we'll stay here. You can keep the arms out, kind of like goalposts, or bring the palms in towards the heart center, or bring the hands down to the tops of the thighs for a little bit of extra support. In this squat, try to firm the tops of the thighs and spiral them towards the outer edges of the mat, towards the top and the bottom. This might help to add a little bit of length through the spine and bring a little bit more focus into the glutes. Take 3 more rounds of breath here. Channel that breath. Imagine the breath flowing down through the lungs, into your heels, into your toes, really ground down through the feet. See if that engages the legs a little more. One more round of breath. Inhale, straighten the legs. Reach both arms up and out. And exhale, pivot the right foot back towards the front. Bend into the right knee. Bring the right elbow down to the right thigh. Left arm high and side angle. You also have the option to bring your right hand down to a block for a little bit more support, or to bring it all the way down to the ground if that feels good for you. Take 2 rounds of breath here. Continue to focus on the left heel. Press it firmly down into the ground. On your next inhale, slowly start to sweep the left arm back and the right arm high. Bring the left hand to the left side and the right arm up, reverse warrior. And exhale, bring the arms horizontally in line with the shoulders. Bring the gaze over the right fingertips, warrior 2. Take a moment to take stock of your feet. Maybe adjust the stance a little bit wider or a little bit narrower, depending on whether you want more heat or less. If you notice your right knee starting to dip in towards the center, you can do a little bit of a self-adjust by bringing your right hand down, placing it on the inside of the right knee and pushing it back out over the right ankle. Take 2 more rounds of breath here. And inhale, slowly sweep both hands down to frame the right foot. Pivot onto the ball of the left. Exhale, step the right foot back and up into the air, 3-leg dog. Inhale, bring the right foot down to meet the left. And exhale, drop both knees down to the mat. Push the hips back to child's pose or keep the hips up high for downward facing dog. Your choice. Whichever one is calling to you in this moment. We'll take 3 rounds of breath here. Take some time to check in with the body, gauge how the right side feels compared to the left. If anyone has ever performed on a stage, which I haven't, these lights really do get hot. I have lights on me and it's very interesting. Take 1 more round of breath here. If you're in child's pose, make your way up to downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, inhale, bend the knees, gaze towards the top of the mat, and exhale, take those dozen steps to slowly walk your way up towards the front. Continue to focus on the breath. Walk the feet up between the hands. And we'll take another few moments here to hang with the torso heavy or sway from left to right. On your next inhale, bring the palms back to your shins and slow roll your way all the way up to stand. Take your time, take as many breaths and as long as you want. Feel each vertebra in the spine. Once you reach the top, shrug the shoulders up, squeeze the shoulders down and back, come to stand with the palms facing forward, mountain. From mountain, inhale, sweep the arms out, lift the hands up, bring the gaze high. And this time as you exhale, step your right foot back towards the back of the mat. Pivot the left so that it's parallel with the front. Reach both hands up and out for star pose again. This is one of my favorite poses. It's really nice to just like take up a bunch of space, take up as much of the mat as possible. Maybe even like widen the legs if that feels right. Inhale, reach a little bit farther if you could touch the corners of the room. And this time as you exhale, bring the hands down to the hips. Slowly bend forward at the waist. Lower the forehead down towards the mat. Inhale, lift halfway. And exhale, lower back down. Wide leg forward fold. You can leave the hands on the hips or bring the hands down to the mat or bring them on top of some kind of height. Continue to engage through the legs. Press down firmly into the heels and into the toes. See if you can distribute the weight equally between the inside of the arch and the outside of the arch to really feel that sturdiness and that grounding. Always the option to bend the knees, or if your thighs are feeling a little heated, you can start to shift from one to the other by bending one knee and straightening the other. Take one more round of breath here. And then inhale, lift the hands back to the hips, slowly bring the chest up, lift the crown of the head towards the ceiling. And exhale, pivot the left foot to face towards the front, bend into the left knee, bring the left elbow to the left thigh, and right arm high and side angle. Again, with the option to use a block underneath the left hand or bring it all the way down if that feels okay. We'll stay here for 3 rounds of breath. Really reach up through the right hand. Bring the gaze up towards the ceiling, or you can gaze down at the left foot for a different perspective. Take one more round of breath here. Inhale, slowly sweep the right arm back to the right thigh, left arm high, reverse warrior. And exhale, bring the arms up parallel with the shoulders. Bring the gaze out over the left hand. Take your time to adjust your warrior 2 stance. And maybe that means adjusting how the back foot is angled. There is no right or wrong way for this to be. It's just about what feels good for the hips. And everyone's hips and legs are going to be different. From this pose, play around with that center a little bit. Much like we did in tabletop, try to find somewhere between the legs where it almost feels effortless to lift up, where it feels like, I guess this is a funny picture, but you're like a genie without any legs and you're just kind of floating above from the waist. Did anybody else love Aladdin as a child? Take one more round of breath here. Inhale, slowly windmill both hands down, pivot onto the ball of the right. And exhale, send the left foot back and up, 3-leg dog. Inhale the left foot down to meet the right. And exhale, push up and back to down dog or drop the knees and push the hips back low for child's pose. Take 3 rounds of breath here. If the sides felt different through the first round, take a moment here to see if they feel the same. They might not. A lot of times in yoga, there's this philosophy of doing the same thing on both sides to keep it balanced, to keep it even. But most of the time in my experience, I've found that one side needs a little bit more than the other. Investigate that sensation in your own body and tuck it away for personal use later. Yoga is all about finding the movements that work for our body, not just the movements that the teacher is telling you to take. If you're in child's pose, on your next inhale, start to make your way back up to downward facing dog. And from downward facing dog, inhale, raise the right leg up. And exhale, slowly step the right foot forward between your hands. Drop down to the left knee and untuck the left toes. If you've got that support for your knees, you might want to place it underneath the left knee. And if not, that's fine. If you've got any blocks or anything and you want to use them to frame the right foot for a little bit more height, go ahead and do that now. Inhale, lift the chest, reach the arms up, bring the gaze high. And exhale, hands down on top of blocks or frame the right foot. Inhale, raise the chest, reach the hands up. And exhale, lower both hands down. Inhale one more time, reach the arms up, lift the gaze. And exhale, hands down on top of blocks or just to frame the right foot. Inhale, press the left hand down into the mat and twist the right arm up. Exhale, lower the right hand to frame the foot. Inhale, twist up towards the right, raise the right hand high. Exhale, drop the right hand back down. Inhale one more time, twist the right arm high, lift the gaze. Exhale, lower the right hand, frame the right foot. Inhale, if you've got blocks, might be good to use them here. If you don't, you can always bring your hands up to the tops of your thighs. Start to push your right knee towards the front of the mat. Press down firmly into the top of the left foot for more of a stretch through the hip flexor. And exhale, push the hips back, straighten through the right leg, bend the forehead down towards your right knee. Inhale, slide the hips forward, right knee towards the top of the mat, lift the chest, squeeze the shoulders back. Exhale, roll the hips back, straighten through the right leg, bend the forehead down low. Inhale, slide forward, right knee over the toes, lift the chest, raise the gaze. And exhale, last time, push the hips back, straighten the right leg, bend the forehead down. Stay here for a few rounds of breath. Play with really pressing down into the foot or even lifting the toes and pressing the heel down. If you press the heel down, you'll feel it more through the hamstrings. And if you press the toes down, you might feel it more through the shins and the top of the foot. Take one more round of breath here. Inhale, slide the right knee over the right ankle. Take the blocks or props, move them off to the side if you've got them so they're out of the way. Bring the hands down, frame the right foot. Exhale, tuck the left toes, raise the left knee. Inhale, send the right foot back and up, three-leg dog. Stretch through the toes, maybe point them or circle the ankle. And exhale, drop the right foot down. Push the hips up and back to down dog or lower the knees and push the hips back low for child's pose. Take 3 rounds of breath here. We'll go through the same flow on the left side now. But just like I mentioned earlier, if you know something about your body, you know that one side needs this a little bit more than the other, feel free to use that information. Do the same side again or do the other side more quickly twice, whatever you think your body needs. If you're in child's pose, make your way up to downward facing dog. From down dog, inhale the left leg high. Exhale, left foot forward between the hands. Drop the right knee down, untuck the toes. Find your knee support or blocks if you're using them. Inhale, lift the chest, reach the arms up, low crescent. Exhale, hands down, frame the left foot or palms on blocks. Inhale, lift the arms up. And exhale, drop the hands down low. Inhale to rise. And exhale, last time, frame the hands around the left foot. Inhale, press down into the right hand, twist up with the left, bring the gaze towards the sky. And exhale, left hand down on the side of the foot. Inhale, lift the left arm up. And exhale to lower. Inhale one more time, twist the left side of the chest up, raise the left hand high, and exhale, left hand down, frame the foot. Inhale, slide the left knee forward towards the top of the mat, raise the chest, squeeze the shoulders, press down into the top of the right foot for that hip flexor stretch. Exhale, push the hips back, straighten the left leg, bend the forehead down low. Inhale, glide forward, left knee over the toes, raise the heart, squeeze the shoulders. Exhale, push the hips back, straighten the left leg, bend the forehead down low. Inhale one last time. Left knee towards the top of the mat, lift the chest. And exhale, push the hips back, straighten the left leg, bend the forehead down low. Stay here for a few rounds of breath. If you've got a lovely Chaco tan like I do, feel free to admire it. Play around with whether you press down through the foot or lift the toes and press down into the heel. On your next inhale, work the hips forward, left knee over the left ankle, move any blocks or props off to the side. Next exhale, drop the hands, frame the left foot. Inhale, tuck the right toes, raise the right knee. Exhale, send the left foot up and back into the air, three-leg dog. Inhale, drop the left foot down to meet the right. And exhale, push the hips up and back to down dog or find your way down to child's pose. Your choice. We'll take 5 rounds of breath here this time. Take some time to notice any new sensations or any interesting sensations starting to move through the body. Sometimes even just a little bit of movement can start to unlock some things that we've pushed down or tried to ignore. Take one more round of breath here. If you're in child's pose, start to make your way up to downward facing dog. And from downward facing dog, inhale, bend the knees, gaze towards the top of the mat, and exhale, walk or step forward between the hands. Inhale, heel toe the feet together to touch, lift halfway, palms on thighs or shins, chest parallel with the ground. And exhale, bring both palms back down to the mat. Inhale, slight bend in the knees, sweep the arms out, lift the arms up, bring the gaze high, hands overhead, palms can touch or stay shoulder width apart. And exhale, palms together down through heart center. Inhale, sweep the arms out, lift the hands up, bring the gaze high. And exhale, hands down through heart center. Take a moment here. I like to start to bring a little bit of focus into my feet at this point. So you can keep the feet together or you can bring them out hip width apart and start to rock back and forth from the toes to the heels. Your hands can hang out down by the hips with the palms forward. This will help to feel your shoulders in their sockets, or they can just kind of hang out against the thighs. Doesn't really matter. Just feel that gentle rocking motion in the feet. Maybe it's a little bit wobbly or uncertain. Lean into that wobbly. Go ahead, come back to stillness. Plant the toes and the heels down on the ground. I like to give my feet a pep talk before we move into tree pose. That's something that resonates with you. Take a moment to kind of look down at the right foot. Be like, yeah, you're going to do great. You got this. Start to shift the weight over into the right foot. And on your next inhale, start to lift the left knee up into the air. Bring the hands to the hips to start. Find somewhere to focus your gaze that's not moving, something on the ground or something in the distance. And then decide if you'd like to stay here or start to bring the left foot to the inside of the ankle like a tripod or the inside of the calf, or start to slide it slowly up the leg. If it ends up over the knee, that's okay. Just don't apply too much pressure. And from wherever you are, you can leave the hands on the hips or start to bring them out like tree limbs. Bring them together, palms touching at heart center, or lift them up overhead and start to wave them around. You'd really like to play with balance. Feel free to close the eyes and see what happens then. Whoop, like falling. Stay with the breath wherever you are. And use that breath to channel down through the lungs, through the core, down through the left, through the right leg. Take one more round of breath here. It's also always the option, I always forget this, to kind of rest your foot on top of a block. It's the same thing, just a little gentle support. And then bring the left foot down, transition over to the left foot, shake the right leg out, maybe do some wide circles with it, even circle out the ankles. My right ankle is much stiffer than the left. Then bring the right foot back down. If the pep talk works for you, go ahead and look down at your left foot, start to give it that pep talk, tell it it's going to do great, it's going to support you through this balance. Transition the weight over to the left foot. Inhale to raise the right leg up. Bring the hands to the hips. Find that focal point again, that drishti, something that's not moving, that'll help you keep stable. And determine if this is enough for you or even down with a block, or bring the right foot to the inside of the right ankle like a tripod. Start to slide the right foot up the calf towards the knee or maybe towards the inside of the thigh. Sometimes it's common to reach down and grab the foot and bring it up a little bit higher. I would encourage you to play with the active range of motion, to only bring your right foot or your left foot up as high as they can go on their own. Just make sure that you stay in that active range of motion where your muscles are most comfortable. When we start to put that external pressure on things, we start to push our muscles into a passive range of motion, a place where they may not be strong enough to hold that flexibility, that position that we're asking them to. Take 3 more rounds of breath here. And bring the right foot down, transition over, shake the left leg out, do those hip circles or twist the ankle around. See, this one's way more loose. And that's totally normal. And then bring the left foot down. It can be nice to do some hula hooping with the hips at this point. So go ahead and plant the hands on the hips and start to sway from left to right in a big circle. I often think that we should have hula hoops in yoga classes. It would be fun. And then start to sway in the opposite direction. Notice if there's different stickiness here or different fluidity. And come back to stillness. Heel toe the feet back together. Inhale and lift the arms out and up. Bring the gaze high. And exhale, swing the arms out. Bend forward at the waist. Bend the knees to bring the palms all the way down to touch the mat. Inhale, lift halfway, palms on thighs or shins, chest parallel with the floor. Exhale, plant the palms, step both feet back into a plank. We'll stay here for a few rounds of breath, always with the option to lower the knees down to the mat to decrease heat, or you can always come down onto the forearms to increase the heat a little bit. I like to throw a plank in before we move into bridge because it helps to cue that focus on the abs as we move into that gentle back bend. Let's take 2 more rounds of breath here. Pull the stomach in tight and really focus down through the palms, up through the arms, into the shoulders, just as important a part of the plank as the core or the legs. On your next inhale, drop the knees down and exhale. Push the hips back low for child's pose. Take 3 rounds of breath here. Play with the distance of the knees. They can be really wide, almost mat width. This might give you a little bit more room. It might give you a bit of a stretch on the inner thighs as well. Or keep the knees in tight. This could feel a little restrictive for some, but it might feel nice for the outer thighs for others. One more round of breath here. On your next inhale, lift the hips up over the knees. And exhale, walk the hands back towards the knees, towards the hips. Come up onto the tips of the toes. And then start to sweep the feet around and towards the front. Bring the hands behind your hips with the fingers facing towards your feet. Slowly lower back onto your forearms and elbows, and then lower all the way down onto the mat. Inhale to bring the feet in close towards the hips. Your fingers may or may not touch the backs of your heels. Really just depends on how long your arms are. My arms are T-Rex arms, so they don't quite touch. But the goal is to have your knees over the ankles, stacked over them to help create some stability. So play around with it. Inhale to prepare, press the palms down into the mat, press the feet and the heels down, and exhale, start to lift the hips up. Squeeze the thighs in towards each other, and remember that core engagement. Pull the stomach in as you raise up through the mid-back, through the upper back. If you'd like to make it more restorative, you can always take a block and place it underneath the hips. This can feel pretty nice. You can hang out here. If you don't have a block, you can always form fists with your hands and rest down on that, or form or stack them on top of each other like diamonds. Whichever variation you're in, we'll hang out here for, let's say, 3 rounds of breath. Even if you have a block underneath your hips, you can still remain firm and engaged in this pose by pressing down firmly into the heels and continuing to squeeze the thighs in towards each other. One more round of breath here. And then lower the hips down slowly, bit by bit, starting with the upper back, the mid back, the lower back. Come all the way down to the mat. Inhale, lift the feet up into the air. Wrap the arms around the back of the thighs or the front of the shins and hug in towards the chest to give yourself a little bit of a hug. Start to rock from left to right for a low back massage if that feels nice, or just stay still. Bring your hands to the insides of the shins or wrap peace fingers around your big toes and lift the heels up towards the ceiling for happy baby. If your lower back starts to come off the ground, just stay with that grip on the shins. That'll help to keep the lower back nice and solid against the ground. And you can sway from left to right here, or again, just stay static. Difference between a happy baby and a crying baby, I guess. And in this last couple moments, if there's any other poses that your body might be asking for, maybe some form of a supine twist or modified legs up the wall with a block underneath the hips for some support. Or if you're at home, you can use a literal wall. That can always be fun. Or if you're ready to just come down into Shavasana, there's a couple of options. You can come down in regular corpse pose with the legs long and the palms facing up. Or you can bring the soles of the feet and heels together with the knees out wide in Supta Baddha Konasana. Or you can rest with the knees knocked against each other and the feet mat width apart. This can be nice for the lower back. Whenever you find your way to that final resting pose, take one last deep breath in through the nose and exhale through the mouth to release your focus on the breath. Start to release your focus on the body. Let your arms and legs and fingers and toes grow heavy. Let the shoulders sink into the mat or into the floor. Notice if there's any tension or tightness in the hips and the jaw, even around the eyes or the neck. And see if you can let it soften a little bit. If you haven't already done so, feel free to close the eyes or let them grow heavy or unfocused. And whenever I move into Shavasana, sometimes I like to imagine I'm on a raft floating through a river. Sometimes the river is very calm and tranquil, and I can feel the floor underneath me. I can hear my breath. I feel very present. Sometimes the river is very turbulent, going through some swirls and eddies, and all sorts of things are coming up. My mind feels very distracted, trying to save my sails from getting torn apart by the wind. And that's totally fine too. As you lay here in this resting pose, what some call the most difficult pose in yoga, know that it's perfectly normal for the mind to grasp onto things, to create stories, to jump to things that we did earlier in the day or things that still need to happen. And let each thought finish. Imagine it's a leaf blowing away in the wind. And then slowly bring yourself back to the breath or back to the feeling of your clothes, the moisture in your mouth. Use that to return to the present for another moment. slowly start to bring yourself back to your body, beginning with the breath. Add a little bit of movement into your fingers and toes, arms and legs. Maybe rock from side to side to introduce some movement into the hips. Or reach the arms overhead and do a full body stretch like a cat. Eventually make your way over onto whichever side is your favorite side. Curl up into fetal position with the arms as a pillow for your head. Settle here for a breath or two. Notice anything that came up through practice, through Shavasana. When you're ready, gently push your way up into a seat that's comfortable for you. If it feels right for you, bring your hands together, palms touching at heart center, and bow your head to feel our practice. Thank you all very much for showing up and practicing with me this afternoon. Hopefully we can all go through the rest of the day being a little bit more observant to ourselves, to our emotions, to any inner turmoil or inner calm and stillness that we might have. Namaste. Thanks, y'all. Thanks, everyone at home. Hope you have a great rest of the day. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask me or put them in chat or whatever works. And I'll see you next week, maybe.